I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. After the drought we had, I'm not complaining. But we're on day 3 of wet, drippy weather. Sometimes it rains hard, sometimes it just drips. You can just hear it. It's dripping and misting. It's just a constant mist. And I don't know why, but I've just become the type of person that cannot just sit there on the couch and watch TV all day. I wish I could. I used to could. I'd watch Hallmark movies all day, and I was happy with that. I guess because you worked all week, sometimes if you had a rainy Saturday, you just vegged out. But I'm having trouble vegging out these days. I like staying busy. I like doing things. So here's what I ended up doing. After perusing my freezer, I decided to take out that big package of bones that I had, the beef bones that Muse 3 Farm gave me. I decided to go ahead and make some broth. So I roasted them for a few hours, and then I put them in my roaster, covered them with water, put all my aromatics like my onions and all in there, and they've been going at it for hours now. I'm trying to make a lot of broth to put in my pantry to take me through the rest of the year, and I'm doing pretty good right now between the turkey at Thanksgiving, all this beef, and my farm-raised chickens. I'm using their carcasses as well, so it's coming out pretty good. I also took out a chicken and roasted it at the same time that I did the bones. I didn't know what I wanted to do with the chicken, but I got to thinking I might debone it and make some kind of pizza. And since this is such a yuck rainy day and I don't have anything else to do, I think I'm going to make homemade pizza crust. Hadn't done that in a while, but I think that's what I want to do. It's kind of something different I don't normally make. I've made it once before, but hadn't made it lately. But this pizza dough recipe by Giada de Laurentis off the Food Network, you can Google it and get it, is easy and it's good. You just take 1.5 cups of warm water with a little packet of yeast. You mix those, and then you mix 5 cups of flour with 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Mix those, and then you mix it all together. Make you a ball of dough, and the tough part is you have to knead it on a floured surface about 10 to 12 minutes, which will give your arms a huge workout, and you could skip your CrossFit class that day if you do this. But that's all you really have to do. And then you put it in a bowl with a little grease in the bowl, kind of grease the bowl, and that's it. You set it aside, cover it for about 2 hours, and it worked out great. It fluffed up into a really big ball of dough. Then after that, you take it and you divide it into 3 separate bowls. And then you set each separate bowl aside on the stove or whatever. I kind of put my stove on 250 and I let it kind of sit on a warm stove covered. And you let it rise again for about another hour. And at the end of that hour, I had some really good looking pieces of dough, enough to make 3 separate pizzas. And while the beef broth was cooking and the dough was rising for the pizza crust, what else was I to do but look into my family genealogy all the way back to when the first one came from England to America. I mean, what else are you going to do when you're bored? And the next thing you know, I had a spreadsheet going and I was tracing my family roots. What better day to do that than a drippy, drippy wet day? This is what it looks like in its individual bowl after that second rise. So I'm fixing to start working with this. It's going to make 3 pizzas, but if you don't want to make 3 pizzas, you can always put some saran wrap around this dough and put it in your refrigerator or your freezer for a little while. But I'm going to get ready and make the pizzas. I was going to use just Italian, make an Italian type pizza. But then I thought, no, I'm going to get this barbecue sauce. I'm going to mix some grilled onions, which I'm going to do in a skillet, and the chicken, and I'm going to make barbecue chicken pizza. I put the onions in, and I'm just cooking them in a little bit of olive oil until they get pretty tender and kind of translucent. And then I'm going to add my chicken. This is just enough deboned chicken, I think, to make all 3 of these pizzas. So I'm going to throw that in the pan in just a minute. But I'm saving these bones from this pasture-raised chicken because I can use those bones to make bone broth. And I also put the onions that I had just peeled a while ago. Go ahead and keep those peelings, and I'll put it all in the Ziploc, freeze it, and when you're ready to make the bone broth later, you just get it back out and boil it in water. I spread each piece of dough out on a greased cookie sheet, and then I just took a fork and made little fork marks all throughout it just to kind of pierce it a little bit. And I took a little brush, brushed it with olive oil, and I pre-baked them about 5 minutes each. I don't know if this is all correct. I just know this is how I decided to do it last night, and it came out fine. It would have even been better maybe with a little butter brushed on the dough with a little garlic powder. I think that would have made it taste great. Then I added my chicken into my onions, stir those together to incorporate them. Then after that, I just added a little bit of olive oil in there. The olive oil kind of just helps the barbecue sauce be a little bit more spreadable and everything. But then you just add your olive oil, a little barbecue sauce, and I used the last of one bottle of barbecue sauce I had, and then I used the full one that I showed you. So altogether, it was about 1 1/4 bottles of this Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. But any kind you use will be fine, whatever your preference. Let it heat for just a minute to kind of come all together, and then after that, you're ready to put it onto your pizza. I just spooned it on. This made the perfect batch size to make 3 pizzas. It worked out perfect. And then I just added a little mozzarella cheese on the top of them. You can pick your cheese too. You don't have to add mozzarella, but I love that on a pizza. So I added a little of that on the top of each pizza, and then they were ready to go in the oven. I baked it at 425. I can't tell you how long, but it was about 10 or 15 minutes, and they were done. This is the end result, and they were delicious. My son ate one, about a whole one all by himself. It was very good, very tangy, very warm, and homemade on this rainy day, and it really hit the spot for us. I ended up with 7 quarts of beautiful beef bone broth. It's so beautiful. I have enough actually to do about 4 more quarts tomorrow, but that's another day. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.